Ukraine, you're known by the Theatre of the Displaced People, whose performances are the experience of real people from Donbas, from Crimea, who tell their stories. And can you please tell us how would you describe the aim of this project and why it was so successful in Ukraine?
When I came to Ukraine, we had ideas to build a theater for contemporary plays. Actually what we wanted to do, but then it was somehow strange feeling just to stage typical performances when war is going on in the country where you are living. And at the other side, during our travel to the east, we understood that somehow theater can help to handle, especially young people, with the situation. Because for a lot of young students, pupils I met, after surviving the war, there was lost sense in the world. And for me, theater is an instrument to get back sense. And we started with one project which also developed suddenly, without plan. It was a performance My Nikolaevka, on which is based school number 3. And then we met displaced people, and we heard the stories. It was on a festival which Natalia curated in Lviv. Yeah? And then we couldn't stop to do it. Yeah, and we didn't work. This is a very for us important thing. We are not working only with people who came from Donbas to here, but we are working also with children who are living in Donbas. In some way, you can say theater of displaced souls. Yeah. Because to find back your soul after such a thing, it's not so easy. And this experience that other people taking your pain, your thoughts, your fear serious, already is a healing process. At least that I'm not alone with this, what is happening to me. This is the minimum. The best thing is even more when in some moment I can help and teach another person with my experience already to survive. I feel that these, for example, children from school number 3, I know that they are already helping other people by performing, by speaking about what is happening, because a lot of people don't have the possibility to speak.
On the documentary School Number 3, so this firstly was a theater project for you in Mykolaiivka that you started there. Why did you feel it was important to screen this story? Why particularly this play?
In some way you can say that the kino film developed by themselves already during the rehearsals. You are driving through long destroyed houses. Nobody took away the results of this war. It looked like that it happened yesterday. And then they told us only not to leave the street, never to go to the nature, to watch every time under your feet. And then, I was lost, and I just could find place. All these wonderful volunteers, Ukrainians, they already were involved in the process. They did a lot of things, and also the trust came by themselves. As you know, we prepared a big celebration of St. Nicholas, which after this is somehow a symbol of theater of displaced people. We are doing it every year, and I couldn't help practical because I was really in shock. And then somebody said that, okay, this guy, he could be a good Nicholas because still I had long hairs, I have this beard, I'm not so slim, I'm not aggressive, you understand? And really these children from the first classes, they believed. And for me, this was a very, very important change in my life, because actually they wanted that, as Nicholas said, I promise them that war will stop. I couldn't say this because I can't say something what I can't promise, but then I felt important to somehow to support. Somehow I made the first film. It was called Fear in Ukraine. It is more like a performance where I showed the film and I was on stage and told my story how I get this St. Nicholas.
The film also shares very intimate stories of the teenagers. Can you please tell us how hard for you it was to work with them? Because being a teenager is not a very simple and nice time, and especially being a teenager who lives under war is another thing. So what was your experience with that?
It may be strange to hear to you, only positive. And in every town. At first, I'm working for almost 20 years with teenagers in this age. And when Natalia Varashbit and me, when we went from class to class to present that we want to make a theater project, we were very afraid that nobody will come. Yeah, then came 13 people, they all stayed in this project, and then, okay, it was a time of getting better each other, but then there still was one ice-breaking situation when you spoke about the intimate things. There was on some moments when we came just a little bit, okay, what are this for people, a little bit to see what do they want from us. But then we asked the people to bring things without they would never leave Mykolaiivka. And that was suddenly a breakthrough situation. Yeah, then when, and they couldn't stop to bring the things, and they were somehow speaking through the things. It was somehow like a medium, yeah.
Could you share like what kind of things there was?
Well, for example, when suddenly one of the girls showed us a bracelet with a Russian flag, and which was very important which actually she presented to a boy who is very for the separatists for Russia, and when they had problems because of them, he gave her back. He said, take it, I don't want to speak with you anymore. And she so much loved this boy that she was at this time still wearing this in the film. She's speaking about this, and this was of course a shock. Or I don't know, I will never forget when Sasha Babakov couldn't believe that in school he could speak about all his experience on alcohol and sex. Yeah, so, and he looked at, is it really possible to speak about this? Then he brought these bottles when he showed us how they made such boy experience, which had is harder when they were taking the bottles. And yeah, but also there was the other moment of fear, of losing people. Yeah, I will never forget when Katya brought the curtain and just was telling a story that she actually prepared herself for a wedding with this, and we said, okay, wonderful, and she's still somehow that this curtain is close to her and that she's thinking about it, and then at the end of the story we understood that this boy who organized these weddings died during the war. So we couldn't actually believe that how suddenly builded this area of trust. Yeah, and for me it's so important to keep this, why we want to work further.
The documentary leaves a feeling that these teenagers, they are very mature for their age, and their judgments are very deep. Do you think that is the consequence of the war?
This is about some inner qualities, but that they are so much aware of things. Of course, because this is connected with the war, because suddenly somewhere you have to get adult to understand that such things are going on in this world, and suddenly you have to handle this because your relatives died, or even your boyfriend died during the war. I had such stories also, yeah. So maybe it will sound now very cruel, but we can't change now that there is this war, and we already can't change that they all survived such situations. So now we have to use it as a chance, to build personality. And I believe if you can handle with such situation, you can get a very, very strong personality. And so this is a cruel situation. We have now to take the good things which also war can bring to a person in a way that it can build you for the whole life, as in a bad way, as in a very good way.
Let's dispute a little bit on the question of war. And we know that in the film, whereas students have different positions towards the war, some of them support Russian separatists, some of them support Ukrainian soldiers. When you discussed these topics with them, because you obviously had to, and you didn't show them your position, how would you describe, what's their attitude towards war?
When I came to Ukraine, I actually wanted to make a project about where are listening both sides. Because in the German media it was quite clear that this is an inner Ukrainian conflict, and there are just separatists and people from west of Ukraine, and they can't find a solution. And then when I came to Donbas, and now already for 3 years speaking with people there, I very much changed my opinion about who is the aggressor and what is going on. But at the other hand, for us it's important that every person in our project knows that he can feel himself in safety speaking about his feelings and his opinions in safety. And we are never tried to convince. We just can show that we are people like this, and you have to choose in life which people you are choosing. But of course you are right that there are different opinions, and also the parents have different opinions, that in places in East Ukraine I found a very pro-Russian atmosphere, and others a very pro-Ukrainian.
So the Theatre of the Displaced People and both the film are very well known abroad. Why do you think there is such a huge interest into this topic?
For a lot of people in Europe, actually Maidan was something that we looked with a lot of hope what is going on in Ukraine, and with a lot of fear that a war is going on in a country which is so close to us. Yeah, and this is the fear. That if you would imagine that Europe is a town, then would be from Germany the next street Poland, and the next street already Ukraine. It's very close. So because of this is the interest, but I think even more that these children that they gave more interest to what's going on in Ukraine, because war pictures you see in every news, but to see how people in a very personal way dealing with this, you are not able to see so often.
I know that nowadays you're doing a new theatrical project in the eastern Ukraine. Can you please tell us a bit more about it?
Yes, it's a collective work with, of course, Natalia Varashbit, with a young Ukrainian theater director, Alexa Daryan, psychologist Alexei Karachinsky, and our team. And we are already almost 1.5 years traveling to a little Ukrainian towns in the east, like Popasna, Shastya. Again, we were in Nikolaevka. And we are organizing in theater improvisations first meetings of pupils and of soldiers. Why the project is called Children and Soldiers. And we feel how much fear both sides have to speak with each other and to communicate with each other, and for me, how much it could help the children and the Ukrainian soldiers to start to speak with each other. I saw how hard it was for Ukrainian soldiers just to open their souls, to speak about what was for them, their stories, that at home is waiting mama, at home are waiting the children. And then we are presenting these meetings in form of theater performances in these towns, where all were coming people from the town. You could imagine that's very emotional, because everything is very personal. And and I hope, like we had in some places, that after we are leaving, that the contact between the soldiers and the children will continue.